Kirkman. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first video to go over solving two-step equations. We are going to go ahead and solve the odds on this worksheet. You were expected to solve the evens, but I'm going to do the odds so that you can follow along and see some examples. All right, first up here, as a reminder, when solving two-step equations, you want to draw that line down the middle to show your two different sides. We're going to make sure that our variable terms are on one side of our equal sign, and we move all of our numbers or our constants to the other side of that equal sign. So because I want to keep the negative 7x here on the left, I'm actually going to do the opposite here and get rid of the 5 by minusing on both sides. That's because this 5 is really a positive 5 or a plus 5. That negative sign right there really belongs to the 7x or minus 7x. The 5 itself is positive. When I subtract that 5, it's going to go away, and I'm going to be left with negative 7x on the left. On the right-hand side, I'm going to be getting negative 21. You can now see that we have a one-step equation here. So I'm going to do the inverse operation or opposite and divide both sides by negative 7. That is going to give me 1x, which is equal to 3. So that first problem is 3. Over here, you guys are doing the evens, so now I'm going to go over and move over to number 3. This problem is very similar to the other one, but there's this thing in our way. This division bar is in our way. I cannot get to the negative 8 plus a because the divided by 2 is in my way. So I need to get rid of that division bar first. So what I'm actually going to do is multiply everything by 2 on both sides, okay? So that I can cancel out that divided by 2, and I'm going to get negative 8 plus a is equal to negative 8, because negative 4 times positive 2 is negative 8. Now I have a one-step equation I can solve. Let's get rid of this 8 to get a all by itself. And because both sides have the same answer here, or the number of negative 8, I'm going to end up with a equaling 0. All right, let's move on down to number 5. Your job is to do 4 and 6. Number 5 is very similar to number 3 right there. It's the same type of thing. I have this bar in my way. I need to get rid of it. That divided by 18. So I'm just going to multiply both sides. It's kind of horrible. Hold on, let me fix that. I'm going to multiply both sides by 18. And here's my line to show my two different sides. That 18 will get rid of the divided by 18 there, so I'm left with m plus 2 equals 18 times 1 is 18. Now I can subtract 2 from both sides to get m all by itself. Positive 2 take away a 2 is 0, so I'm left with just the m. 18 take away 2 is 16. So that is the answer to that one there. All right, moving on along here, we are taking a look at 7 and 9. These are the ones that I am going to do. 11. You are going to do 8, 10, and 12. So remember, the whole point of this is just to get that letter all by itself, whether it's an M, an X, whatever it is. I need it to be alone. So number 7 is actually similar to the last two that we did together. I'm going to multiply both sides by 9 to get rid of this division bar. Okay, 9 times negative 1 is negative 9. 7 plus k is left on the right-hand side. I now need to get k all by itself, so I'm going to subtract the 7 from both sides. And I'm going to get k is equal to, because that cancels out there, negative 9 minus 7 is negative 16. It's a k there. Okay. Number 9 is a very straightforward one. We just have, very similar to the first one that we did here, but I'm going to get rid of my constant here. I'm going to move it to the right-hand side by subtracting 4 from both sides. Whoops, sorry about the zooming. Let me fix that. Okay, so that's going to cancel out, and I'm going to be left with 4v equals 40 minus 4 is 36. Divide both sides by 4 to get v by itself. 36 divided by 4 is, what did we say that was last time? Well, 46, I think it's 9, because 40 times 10 is, or not 4 times 10 is 40, so this would be 1 less there. So v is 9. All right, now number 11 is super complicated just because it's a fraction. You are going to find, we're going to teach you a way to eliminate and get rid of all of our fractions and decimals in this module. But for this lesson, since we're just reviewing, we're going to review how to do this the old-fashioned way by finding a common denominator for these fractions. We're still going to do the same steps that we've done in all of the other problems. It's just we're going to do them with fractions. Now, normally I would say you could turn these into decimals, but because of my 4/3 here, that's going to be a repeating decimal. So we're not going to want to do that. We're going to have to keep them as fractions. So just like before, I want to keep my variable term here on this side. So I'm actually going to get rid of the 3/2 from both sides. Now I'm going to take some space in the other problems here because this does take a lot of work. 23/18 take away 3/2. I have to have common denominators here. So I need to turn my fraction into 18ths, my 3/2 into 18ths, so that I can properly subtract. Okay, I'm going to do that up here. I'm going to do 3 over 2. 9 times 2 is 18, so I'm going to times the top and the bottom by 9. 3 times 9 is 27, so this becomes 27/18. So I can go back to my original problem here, and I can actually erase this and write my new fraction 27/18. That's a 7. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the 23, take away 27. That's going to get me a negative 4/18. Okay, this side cancels out. That is equal to 4/3 b. Okay, I'm going to move over to the right here to take some of this space. In order to solve this, I'm going to have to divide by 4/3 on both sides. Whoops. Okay, we're dividing fractions, so I'm really going to do negative 4/18 divided by 4/3. We're going to keep flip change. So I am actually going to save space, I'll do it right here. We're going to keep the first term, flip the second term upside down, and change the sign to times. Okay, negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. 18 times 4 is going to get me a larger number here, 72. So I have negative 12/72. The good news is that 72 is divisible by 12. So if I divide both the top and the bottom by 12, if I can write a 12, there you go, then I would get negative 1/6. And that is actually the answer for 11. Now that's a lot of work for one problem. That is why we're going to learn how to do it without having to do all that extra work. In the future. Okay, so I'm going to end, we're getting kind of close to our time here, so I'm just going to do 13 just so that you guys can see what it's like to work with our decimals. But again, we're going to do the same thing we did with whole numbers. We're just going to do it with decimals. So I'm going to subtract the 6.4 from both sides. Sorry that the numbers look so funny. That cancels out here, and I'm going to get minus 0.6n on the right Over here, if I take 2.02 and I subtract 6.4, I'm going to get negative 4.38. Okay, I'm now going to just divide both sides by negative 0.6. And I'm going to get positive 7.3. Oops, that's a 3. 7.3. Okay, so same thing, but with decimals. Like I said, we are going to learn how to get rid of those decimals and eliminate them, so that will help us a lot. All right, the last thing I'm going to do is just go over one of these word problems here. Oh, I'm sorry, there we go. I'm going to do number 17. You still need to do the evens on this back page, so that would be 18, 20, and, or just, sorry, 16, 18, and 20. But I'm going to go over number 17. So in this problem, it says Michelle had $14 to spend. Come on there. $14 to spend on 6 new pens for school. After buying the pens, she had $2 left. How much did she spend on each pen? We're going to write an equation to represent this situation, and then we will solve it. So because she had a total of $14, I'm going to make that my number I'm equal to. Okay. And the thing I'm equal to is the number of pens I purchased times the price per pen plus the $2 that I had left. So my equation is 14 equals 6p plus 2. So I'm going to draw my line, and now I'm going to solve. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. If I had $2 left, that means that I spent $12 on 6 pens. Okay. If I divide both sides by 6, that will tell me that each pen costs $2. There you go. All right, give those a try, and we will see you another time.